Today, we're diving into a short, but oh man, an incredibly powerful poem by Kamala Das. It's called My Mother at 66. And it's one of those pieces that gets right to the heart of a universal experience. That sudden, gut-wrenching moment you realize your parents are getting older and all the complicated feelings that come with it. So before we even get into the poem's lines, let's start with this question it really forces us to think about. What do our elderly parents actually expect from us? This question is the perfect setup, really, because the poem isn't just about watching someone age. It's about that emotional bond and all the fears we're too scared to say out loud. And the person guiding us through this feeling is the amazing Kamala Das. Born in Kerala, she was truly one of India's most important poets. And she was known for being incredibly honest and raw. She was just a master at capturing those complex, tricky feelings in human relationships. And believe me, this poem is a perfect example of her genius. All right, so the poem kicks off in a totally normal, everyday setting, a car ride. The poet is driving from her parents' house to the airport in Cochin, and her mother is sitting right there next to her. But what she sees in that simple moment is anything but ordinary.
And this is the line that just stops you in your tracks. The poet glances over at her mother, who's dozing with her mouth open, and her face is, quote, ashen like that of a corpse. Wow. I mean, what a stark, shocking comparison. It's not just that her mother looks old. In that moment, she looks lifeless. And that sight just triggers this wave of pain for the poet.
This is it. This is that moment of sudden, unavoidable truth. It's when she realizes that all the signs of aging, they aren't just signs anymore. They represent just how fragile and final life is. And that thought is so painful, her first instinct is to immediately push it away. So to get away from that devastating thought, the poet does something we've all done. She distracts herself. She turns her head and looks out the car window. And what she sees out there, well, it could not be more different from the scene inside the car. This is where the poem gets so brilliant, with this central contrast. Inside the car, you have stillness, old age, and this heavy thought of death. But outside, the world is just bursting with life. You have these young trees that look like they're sprinting past the car, and happy, energetic kids spilling out of their homes. And of course, these images aren't random at all. The sprinting trees, the spilling children, they represent youth, energy, and the unstoppable forward march of time. They are literally everything her mother is not in that moment. It's just this powerful, heartbreaking contrast between a life that's fading and the life that's just getting started. But, a distraction like that can only last so long. They get to the airport, a place that's all about goodbyes and departures, and reality comes crashing back in. After she goes through the security check, the poet is standing a few yards away from her mother, and that painful feeling, it just comes rushing back. Right here, in this space designed for farewells, she looks at her mother one more time, and this final glance, right before she has to leave, is just filled with this deep, old fear. And here's the second powerful comparison she makes. She sees her mother as wan, pale as a late winter's moon. Why is that so perfect? Well, think about it. A winter moon is often pale. It lacks the brightness and warmth of a summer moon. It really suggests the end of a cycle, a light that's dimming, and the cold reality of being separated. Seeing her mother like this brings back what she calls her old familiar ache. And this isn't some new feeling. It's that deep, primal fear almost every child has of being separated from their mother, that fear of loss. It's an ache she's carried with her since she was a little girl, and now it's reawakened by her mother's fragility. So, this brings us to the poem's absolutely heartbreaking conclusion. She's faced with this overwhelming fear and sadness, and she has to say goodbye. How on earth do you do that without just completely falling apart? Her words are so simple. See you soon, Amma. On the surface, it's a promise, a reassurance for her mother. But underneath that, there's this desperate hope for herself. Almost like a prayer that this goodbye won't actually be their last. But her final action? It's even more poignant. The poem ends with this repetition. All I did was smile and smile and smile. So I repeat it. What is this smile really all about? That smile is a performance. It's a brave front, a mask she puts on to hide her own terror and grief.
The last thing she wants is to alarm her mother with her sadness. So it becomes this final, selfless act of love, choosing her mother's peace of mind over her own need to let it all out. And that act of holding it all in, that's one of the most powerful ways we can show love.
Now, to really get the full power of this poem, we have to talk for a second about how it's actually built. The structure itself is a huge part of the experience. It's not just what she's saying, but how she's saying it.
So, get this. The entire poem is written as one long sentence. It's all just linked together by commas with no period, no full stop until the very, very end. This is so brilliant because it mimics a single unbroken stream of consciousness. It pulls us directly into the poet's mind, and it makes us feel that rush of observations, memories, and fears as one continuous, overwhelming thought.
And ultimately, I think this is what the poem leaves us with. In these huge moments of profound love and fear, words just fail us. They feel so small. The poet's only option was a simple phrase and a smile. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What do we do when our deepest emotions are just too big for language? How do we show our love when we're faced with our greatest fears?